second hour of First Things First. Today, Brew's toxic relationship with the Eagles. Doesn't love them, can't give up on them. Meanwhile, why one Kansas City Chiefs fan on the show feels very nervous about a victory consisting of 6 field goals. But right now...
That's a lie. There's only one Chiefs fan on the show, and I'm not nervous. It's a lie.
Head to Baltimore where the Ravens clinched the 1 seed, the bye, Lamar's MVP, and official bully status as they rolled the Dolphins. Lamar had 5 passing touchdowns. Here he is.
We've been an underdog all season, even off season. You know, we like to keep it that way and just keep that on our mindset. We don't fall into the narratives of things changing. You know, just last week we were about to get tore up, you know, however they said it. But our team, you know, we take that to heart and we go out there and play football. And that's what we know. That's what we're supposed to do. You know, we can't go out there thinking since we're the favorites, team's just gonna buy down and just play how we want them to play. We got to go take it, and that's what we do.
Okay. Favorites in the AFC, but overall, San Francisco #1 for the Super Bowl. Then the Ravens, Cowboys, Chiefs, and Bills, who might not even make the playoffs. And then your Eagles, Brew,
who might as well not make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Oh, hey.
One of the worst defenses in the league in any event.
I'll just show
Do
this.
Ravens deserve to be Super Bowl favorites?
Absolutely. Like, look, I'm not saying they're a shoo-in, although they are now my pick to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
I picked them to
Way
get
to
to
go
the
on a limb, bro.
Well, hold on.
Chances.
But I had picked them when I think everybody else on this show didn't think they make the playoffs. I got them going to the Super Bowl. Now I got them beating the Eagles in the Super Bowl.
Such a weird thing to switch your pick over to abandon. If I just may, you're abandoning the Eagles, who you've pimped all. Sorry, who you promoted all year long, but now you're like, but they're still going to be in the Super Bowl. But it's fine.
Just not.
So Baltimore,
but
you now believe in Baltimore. That's fine. Go ahead.
But even if they should be the favorite, Coach. They blasted the Niners.
They and they have the same path. They're both
favorites.
1 seeds.
Both 1 seeds. 4 division leaders they've played. Miami, the Niners, Jacksonville, Detroit. They beat them by an average of 25 points. Like, there's nothing more they need to do. And I think when you look at them, we've always looked at Lamar's passing as a weakness. OBJ, I know he was playing well for a stretch, then kind of disappeared. Obviously had the big catch yesterday. I just think we saw what he did in the playoffs a few years ago. I think he could be good for them in the playoffs. Obviously, Zay Flowers is the man, and they got a run game. I don't care who the running back is. They're going to run the ball well. Defense is best in the league. They've checked all the boxes to, at the very least, be #1, the favorite. All right, I'm not saying it's a guarantee, but they should be.
Yeah, they should definitely be the favorite. To beat the 2 teams they did the way that they did, to have Lamar healthy, that's another huge component this late in the season. And then with Odell, I've been as critical of Odell as anybody
for years
of the signing. But this is the best time in the world to have Odell, and this is where Odell can show out. When you get to those playoff games, it's a different whole scenario, and I could see him being very effective in the playoffs. I'd say the thing that I'm most concerned about is if they don't play this weekend. Okay, they don't play Lamar this weekend. They don't play him the next weekend.
Yeah.
And it's always the ongoing debate of rust versus rest. And a lot of really good teams have lost because they've sat guys. And what happened to Baltimore at the start of the season? They didn't start very well. They were, I think, 3-2. So do they go back? Can they just?
Or the last time they were the 1 seed.
It's such a difficult thing because if you play him and he gets hurt. And
you're playing Pittsburgh, whose playoff life is on the line. You have a lot of reasons not to play him.
But if you don't play him, you have 2 weeks off. Now does the car start up where it was? Or do you have to go through all the – and we've seen it over time where teams get blown up because they had too much time off.
And listen, Brew is correct, and it's totally fair in him, reminding America 3 to 4 times a week, if not a show, that I picked the Ravens to miss the playoffs. However, what is true is, and I think you'll vouch for me on this offseason, I was as strong of a proponent of Lamar getting his money and that what was going on was outrageous. I just didn't think that the offensive change was smart, and I thought the AFC North was going to be the toughest division in football. The second part ended up being true. The first part I was wrong about. He's going to win league MVP. So I really like Lamar Jackson, and when we did in the offseason, like when we were looking at the Chiefs as the prohibitive favorites, and it was like, if somebody beats the Chiefs, who would it be? Yeah. The team we kicked around a lot was the Ravens, because a peak Lamar game. This is now the 3rd time in his career he's had a perfect passer rating and more touchdowns than incompletions in a game. The last 3 times for anyone to do this was Lamar Jackson. And so his apex games, you feel helpless, which is why this is such a fascinating spot. Because if he goes on and they go to the Super Bowl, then if I am running the New England Patriots, the New York Jets, or the Pittsburgh Steelers, if I'm the owner, I'm calling in my people and be like, so we didn't even call this guy, huh?
Right.
We didn't even if it was, the Ravens are going to match.
It's weird.
Then it's okay, but we're competing with them, so make them match a contract they don't want. And if it doesn't come through, then man, and I feel badly for Lamar in this regard, but if they lose in round 1 like they did the last time they were the 1 seed, when they looked like a ball rolling downhill that was unstoppable, then no matter what Lamar does in the future, in the regular season, no one will care until you see him in the postseason. Like no one, and people can say I was the same for Peyton Manning to a degree, but Peyton Manning's 4th playoff game, he had a perfect passer rating and threw for 300 yards and 5 touchdowns. His 5th playoff game, he damn near did the same thing. Like he had already gotten some playoff wins. Lamar's all 4 of his postseason games, he's had trouble throwing the ball, and now he's going to be MVP for how well he's thrown the ball this year.
So what about if he plays really well? It's hard to imagine him playing really well and they lose, but what if that
as the 1 seed at home, I don't think it'll matter.
People don't remember that.
It's going to be like that.
I don't think it'll happen because
it'll be one thing. It's like, Dak stepped out of bounds. It'll be one thing. So just quickly before we go, because this is super macro, but we talked about it last week, so I want to get your take on it. If he's the MVP, so now he's got 2 MVPs, did Lamar just go to the Hall of Fame this week?
Well, every 2-time MVP in league history's in. And so it would be very, very difficult to see a scenario where he's not a Hall of Famer if he's a 2-time MVP.
It'd be sick if he said that in the press conference. Like, now I'm in the Hall of Fame, guys. Like, sorry, look at the numbers. I'm going to be the MVP. Brew has the Eagles going to the Super Bowl, not winning.
Yeah, he's abandoned them.
Yeah.
Partially.
They've lost 4 of their last 5.
Adoption. I mean, like, I want to see him on the weekends.
Defense has gone from bad to worse as Kyler engineers a touchdown drive every single time he had the ball in the second half. Here's Sirianni.
Stick together. Stick together. Everybody's got to stick together. I think there's going to be a lot of people trying to point the finger at different things, and everybody's got to stick together, right? We win as a team. We lose as a team, and together is the most important thing that we can be right now.
Okay, Coach, are you ready to write Philadelphia off?
It's going to be hard.
That's his goal.
This reminds me of the Steelers in 2020. Remember they started
11-0.
Yeah, 11-0, and then it's the same exact record as what the Eagles have. That's the way they finished the season. It was 12-4. I think is the record they lost in the first round, and that's what it feels like. And as much as everybody's saying we've got to stick together, we've got to find a way through this, we've got to get better quickly. It's not like they haven't been working on these problems.
They've been saying that all year.
Well, yeah, but
much,
it's easier. It's a lot easier to say that when you're winning games. Now, when you're going through it, and you've already made a coaching change, and you don't get the burst from that change that you hoped you get. Now, everybody in the locker room, it's a function of what's the next problem, and they haven't gone through a lot of adversity with this coach. So, how well is he going to handle navigating the team through that? And it doesn't
How well
look like
is he going to handle adversity at all? The guy, listen, if there's such a thing as a front-running coach, it's this guy.
Oh.
It just is. His quarterback, even though his quarterback has regressed some this year, and macro, the concern for Philly is, if we're being honest, the concern for Philly macro is how good is Jalen Hurts really?
He's hurt, though.
The question is how hurt is he?
Okay.
And it's not an
well,
excuse,
you know what?
It's
Not only is it not, I actually don't think that's an excuse. I think it can be an explanation. But then, you know what, Philly? Stop calling all of these quarterback-driven runs and tush pushes if your $250 million quarterback's hurt. That's on you. Like
But the tush push isn't why he's injured.
It can't be like, okay, as Wilds, I'm gonna use a Wilds line. If I went to my orthopedist and was like, hey, I'm dealing with a knee injury, and he's like, all right, let me give you a recommendation. We're gonna have 3 250-plus pounders shove you in the back while 5 250-plus pounders try to take your head off. We think that'll help quicken the healing. Of course not.
Yeah. But,
like, go
3 times a week.
This is just what we talk about all the time. You can't rely on one thing and be really happy with the results, which is Jalen Hurts as a runner or Lamar Jackson as a runner, and then suddenly say, well, he might get hurt. Yeah,
no,
he might get hurt.
I agree with that.
But that's what's going to happen when you do that.
But the micro, and the reason Bruce should fully abandon them for his beloved Brock Purdy, as he's wanted to, you've already partially abandoned them.
I do not want to sit here and, as great as the Niners have looked, and be like, oh, yeah, I got the Niners.
Why not?
Fine, that's the job.
It's okay.
Yeah,
that's the job.
Well, you did it. I know.
Yes.
Coaching